All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mythic Banner Impressions for May 2019. It is time to finally look at our brand new Astra Mythic Hero at long last. Yeah, I gotta admit, just before we get into this, that I am happy about this. Finally, we're gonna have some game-changing content here for AR. So she will, Naga that is, be impactful overall, I'd say, in both offense and defense. I'll go into more detail as soon as we get into the video. I'm excited to see her stat spread tomorrow, and I will obviously be picking up 2 copies as soon as I can. I will likely merge her up in the future, I'd say, just because she is a decent unit. I don't know if she's as good as Air. We'll find out about that in time, depending on how the meta shifts. Remember, this video, if you're new to it, is tailored towards high-level AR content, so this banner is extremely relevant to you guys that play AR and are looking to climb ranks. And based on that alone, since this is the first Astra hero we have, she is already a requirement to pull for. So if you care about your grails and your flowers and your rankings and such, then this is already a must pull banner just on that fact alone. But we're going to look at the other stuff here, the colors and the unit itself, at least through the skills and whatnot. I'll look at the mathematics as well at the end. So let's do that. Shall we? Let's do it.
I am the divine dragon. So do the sons of man name me.
Yes. Okay, so this is actually, at least from an opinion standpoint, I did desire Naga to be released in this game even a long time ago as like a legendary candidate. So this is kind of cool. I think beyond this, I probably want Ashnerd as well in this game. So these are pretty cool. I'm glad that if I'm going to be using an Astra Mythic commonly, it's a character like this. Very impactful to the whole Fire Emblem franchise, honestly, in multiple ways. She is Astra. She blesses defense. Both predictable things. In fact, since of the thanks to Intern Khan for leaking her effects, we kind of predicted it would be her or Mila who got released, and so it is. She is a flyer, though, so now we have 3 Astra heroes that are flyers. Flyers really seem to be upwards on their... I guess they really like flyers. That's really what I'm saying. However, she's a dragon, and she's the first flying blue dragon, and if some of you guys already know, dragons have problems. And in fact, they're going to have even more problems because of Naga, as we'll see in a moment. However, she's not an armor, and she's not an armored dragon, so at least we can be thankful for that. And flyers have good utility. So, yeah. You can run guidance. That's always good. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with probably the least impactful stuff and work our way up. She comes with chill speed. This has been around long enough, but it's a good skill to have on an Astra Mythic hero or just a Mythic hero that's used on offense in general because she has a support function. You don't necessarily always use her, but chill speed is a good B slot, which will help your team out a lot. So I appreciate that. At least they did that. AR offense attack speed 3. Okay, so this is new, and this is actually pretty good-ish. I want to say ish for a couple of reasons. You don't really want to fodder her away, but if you did, because for whatever reason you have too many copies, or I don't know, another one in the future ends up being better, a different Astra Mythic, this AR offense skill is good for a couple of reasons. I think it's the most desirable AR offense skill for Gale Force strategies because you can somewhat control, on most defense teams, you can somewhat control the amount of attack and speed a unit gets. So this is good for basically not overkilling things in one shot, so you can choose to not be buffed up by not killing enemy buildings, and speed is also kind of relevant as well. And supposed to I think we had attack defense previously, or attack res, I don't remember which one it was. And these 2 stats are the most desirable for Gale Force as a result of that, and you can kind of control how powerful your Gale Force is to meet the proper checks, not to one shot, but to maybe double as well. It's not the most consistent thing, but it's pretty good for those situations. It's also pretty decent, I'd say, for maybe hit and run strategies, if you're going to use like Bravelyn, Reinhardt, or mostly those 2, plus Dancers. Like that's going to be a pretty good skill if you can manage to snipe a couple of those buildings. It's not extremely consistent though, because maybe people will hide away their buildings more often. That might become more common. But anyways, it's decent. At least from the AR skills lineup, it's better than some of the other ones we've had so far. Luna's whatever. Who cares about that? I guess it could be good on defense, maybe. I don't know. Let's talk about her weapon. So it synergizes with her C skill, which we'll get to in a moment. But her weapon is not a distant counter. So you need distant counter in A slot if you want to make it ideal. You can also swap out for the whole good old lightning breath builds, but she's a flyer, so she can't run breaths or bonus doubler, which kind of makes her less desirable to run lightning breath than some of the other units, but it's okay. Lightning breath still gives you additional bulk, generally speaking, because it gives you visible stats. This is good against AoE specials and maybe even for soaking chills. It's very important to consider. If you're going to bring her along for a lot of things, you may want to run like a lightning breath or a different breath in general that works as a way to soak chills, speed, defense, res, attack, whatever it might be, to push her over a threshold so that she's overtaking other unit stats to soak those chills. I think that's a good idea. This weapon itself probably will bump up her attack enough where she maybe soak chill attack if her attack ends up being high enough, but maybe switching for lightning breath is a good idea, maybe for a secondary one. Anyways, the weapon itself gives you a bunch of in-combat stats based on how many units around you have effective against dragons. This is innately very good with stuff like Deirdre, Julia, Martz, Falchion users because they don't need to rely on our C skill, but our C skill just pumps that all up. So anyways, it's just stats that go up to +9 and everything, which is really good. But again, visible stats could be desirable for either chills or just if you don't have distant counter, for instance. So probably the biggest thing here and what got leaked before is the ability to basically hone effective dragons. So this is insane. At least I would say it's really, 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 really good for lots of reasons. Offense, dragons are going to be total trash on defense for Astra season because of this, including herself for the most part. I've already gotten plenty of people ask me, would she work in a fireball? No, because she counters herself. Literally, you put her on a fireball and every unit can kill her. It's that funny. Additionally, of course, Duma is hanging out there on Anima season as a reflection of Astra, so it became even easier to kill him, as if it wasn't easy enough already to kill him. Poor Duma. But yeah, dragons in general, including herself, do struggle a bit on defense as a result of that. However, it does work both ways. She can buff up other units on defense and be more of a backline unit instead of a frontline unit, hone effective dragons, and if you are using a dragon as your main tank, you're in trouble because you're going to see Ophelias, you're going to see Lilinas, you're going to see Alms, units that should not have effective against dragons come and do hundreds of damage to you because she could be on a defense team. She does give her blessings on defense. She's not a bad defense unit because of her C skill just alone based off that. There's no real counterplay to that for the most part. Yeah, there's not really any counterplay to it. So, she is a good way to completely give effective against dragons, and anyone who's using dragons on offense is going to be crying during Astra. Just re-bless to light. That's basically the solution there. Anyways, so beyond that, Divine Fang works really nice for other reasons. So you can pretty much synergize it with the preference skill itself. You can give it to other units who may otherwise be your tank anyways on offense. So for example, if you're using something like Canagus or even other dragons, if you do that, or I don't know, Donald, Felicia, whatever you use as a tank, you give them the effective against dragons and they become so much more potent against enemy dragons. And I don't think that this is like the end of the amount of dragons we get as Mythic Heroes. We're most likely going to get more. There are some, just off the top of my head, like Loptis, I think from the FE4 or 5 Threscia series, as one other example. I think we had Anakos as well. We might even get a different version of Grima rather than Fallen Robin, Mila as well. So there's more dragons to come, and they will likely be Mythic Heroes. So this skill should be a little bit more timeless. It will last And this makes her good as a first Astro Mythic, I would say, just on that alone. As a combat unit, we don't really know until we see the stats, but I don't think she's terrible. She could probably have some use and has some good synergy with either flyer teams, dragon teams, and some, you know, like armored or beasts. Beasts will work because she's a dragon, and guidance support is always nice, or tactics buffs. That's really what I'm going to say. I have some plans in mind for using Naga, so you guys will see that in the coming weeks, hopefully. And that'll likely be another big compilation AR video, so look forward to that. I do think Naga will be meta impactful, and probably not in the way you expect. So look forward to that. Anyways, let's look at the rest of the Mythic Banner.
Deliberation is over.
That's a nice looking sprite, and her art's pretty good too. Although I feel it resembles Awakening pretty hard. Lyn, Lol Lecter, Lol Tiki, Erica's good, Rid is good, Fjorm is Gun is good, Levitine is good, Lol. Valoria is pretty good, Lu is meh. So that pretty much is that, but let's go over them little by little, shall we? We got, I'll bring up the mathematics as well. Actually, first I'll tell you guys when this concludes. There it is. Concludes on the 6th of June. So it's about the standard time for Mythic Banner. Seems to conclude probably around the time we get some news. Nothing too fancy. Okay, on to the math. So, if you guys aren't familiar with how legendary banners or mythic banners work, pretty much sniping a singular unit is more difficult on these banners than it is on any other banner in the game of Fire Emblem Heroes. However, since there is a rate up, you get colors of batch more often. Basically, you will get anything. If you go for blues, you will get an average of all 3 blues more often than you would on any other banner, but you don't get to choose, and it could end up being pretty fatal in a lot of situations. Plenty of us have summoned on these legendary mythic banners, and you know by now that your orbs could go far away, because the 90th percentiles and even the 95th and 99th percentiles for sniping specific units could be disastrous. So yeah, I am a little bit worried because you do need Naga if you want to get rankings and rewards in AR. So thankfully I've saved about 600 orbs or so, so I'm in line to basically meet the requirements to pick up 2 Nagas. And I'd hope that you guys have also done the same, because this was expected. Beyond that, the actual colors themselves and what we're looking at here as a banner overall, I want to just say straight up that blue sucks. Like beyond Naga, it actually sucks. Naga is a requirement for scoring, but Vector is pretty much hardened at this point, because if you don't have a highly merged up Vector, there is nothing you get out of him besides Bold Fighter. And don't even try to tell me wave skills are good. So yeah, if you don't already have a highly merged Vector, you're pretty much better off using stuff like Effie merged up instead. It's that disappointing to pick up copies of Vector. It's unfortunate that his Ostian counter couldn't have been like distant counter instead, and this would have been like amazing, but Vector is not desirable here. I think even Yogurt would have been even better, or even something like Selkie at this point would have been much desirable instead. So that's unfortunate. Tiki is a different story. She has really fallen off. She wasn't really that great in the first place, but Tiki is, if you have one merged up already, then you're good to create an Earth Core, an Arena, and Arena Assault, and Allegiance Battles to give you score. But the thing is, that is not as good as just merging up legendary heroes that have pair up at this time. So if you have a merged up Tiki, you're in a good spot. If you don't, then Vector and Tiki are not really that desirable, and Naga is like the thing you got to get and get out. That's how I'm playing it as well. I'm going to wait for a Naga rerun before I pull merges on her to get more Astra score. Besides that, Legendary Alm and Air coming up in July are also pretty good. You also have CYL3 coming up, but I don't really... As we can see, CYL units seem to show up pretty commonly on these banners, and of course the Golden Week, which just passed by. Beyond that, red is really good, but I'm sure no one sees that as a surprise. You got Distant Counter, you got Attack Speed Solo, and you got Joint Hone Speed, which is good. Those are all really good skills. And NY Gun is actually pretty good as a unit and on a fireball and synergistic with Yoon. So there are good reasons why red is extremely good. Green is absolutely garbage unless you desire Lin merges. We just recently got Attack Speed Bond from Luis, so that's not desirable from Fjorm. Attack Speed Link is okay, but I feel like we'll probably get it in time anyways, as maybe something as fodder from GHB to Tempest Trials. Kabura, yeah, the bow is pretty good though, and that's pretty much all Fjorm has. Rally Up Res is all you're really going to get at Lu, which is not bad, but again, it's not really worth spending orbs for, and Lin is a disappointment unless you already have one highly merged up and you got to finish her off. But I don't even think this is the banner to do it, so be careful in that area. Finally, Colorless is really good if you don't have any of those units. So Valoria, really good with Gale Force teams. If you have one merged up, Valoria is also really good as a tank, a distant counter Nullsea. No real counters to her right now. Besides, I guess, Felicia and Flora from the Picnic banners, but I haven't seen them at all. They got released, and I have not seen them at all since their bonus weeks. So they are the Beast Slayers right now in the game don't exist. They're not there. So you're pretty safe to use Beasts at this time. The other ones being Levitine, who at least comes with Wrathful Staff, and her staff itself is pretty good for fodder, especially from a support perspective. Like, there's not that many staffs besides like Loki and Bridal Fjorms, which are locked to them, as being good supportive staffs if you want to use them in different modes. So Levitine's good as both a one-off and actually because of fodder. And finally, Duma. I am not going to go over Duma again. If you don't have Duma, he's 40 armor flowers, 5k feathers, and he will reduce your lift. And that's pretty much it. All right, so as it goes, my preference here is probably blue for, well, it's definitely blue to get Nagas, and then red or colorless as secondary are good options depending on how you look at it. Green should be avoided a lot on this banner. That pretty much sums up what I think of this banner. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it has some things. We haven't had red as good as this probably in a while. I wouldn't even consider Ike, Marth, and was it Ike, Marth, and Roy as good as this? Like I feel like Marth was really dragging that down. Warding Breath isn't as desirable, so this is a really good red secondary, or even for fodder, because you can't really get disappointed with much of those pulls at all. I'm going to probably look at Naga in more detail in a video coming up maybe in a week or two. I'm going to have more free time because I finally finished up school. I'm going to finish up my classes in a week, so I'm going to have more free time, and I'm going to be producing even more videos specifically related to what meta impacts both Naga herself brings and what I plan to do with Naga to show you guys how she could actually impact the game in quite a big way. Okay, so that pretty much sums it up. Let me know what you guys think of the banner below. I will see you guys in the next video. Give the video a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you tomorrow. Or, yeah, you'll probably see the summon video in a few days. Whatever. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.